This documentary is based on historical sources, travel records, and Ibn Battuta's own work, the Rihla. Throughout history, there have been people who did not simply live. They measured the world by walking across it. Ibn Battuta was one of them. He was born in 1304 in Tangier, Morocco. Educated, trained in Islamic law. He was expected to become a judge, but fate chose a different road. In 1325, at the age of 21, he set out alone. His goal was to perform the Hajj pilgrimage. The plan was short, the journey would not be, because this journey would last 29 years. By the end of it, he would travel nearly 120,000 kilometers, almost 3 times the circumference of the Earth. But the story is not about distance. It is about witnessing. Ibn Battuta began across North Africa. He crossed deserts, joined caravans, faced hunger, illness, and bandits. But he did not turn back. He reached Egypt, saw Cairo, one of the most powerful cities of the Islamic world at the time. Madrasas, mosques, trade routes. Battuta was not just traveling. He was observing 10 Damascus, and finally Mecca. He completed the Hajj. For most people, the story would end here. His was just beginning. He traveled to Iraq, saw Baghdad, still recovering from the Mongol destruction. Then Persia, Azerbaijan, and Anatolia. Yes, Anatolia. At that time, Anatolia was in the era of fragmented beyliks. After the Seljuk, divided, yet alive. Ibn Battuta wrote about hospitality here. He specifically praised how Turks treated travelers. Then he crossed the Black Sea region into the lands of the Golden Horde, modern-day Russia and Kazakhstan. Winter was harsh. The road was unforgiving. But he kept moving. Eventually, he turned east, toward India. After months of travel, he reached Delhi. The Sultan welcomed him into the royal court and appointed him as a judge. Ibn Battuta was no longer just a traveler. He was part of a state system, but comfort was never his destination. Political tensions, palace intrigue, and he left again. The most dangerous phase of his journey had begun. Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bengal, Indonesia, China. Yes, China. Reaching China in the medieval world was like reaching space today. But he made it. It is believed he traveled as far as Beijing. He documented ports, cities, trade, and culture. His writings became one of the most important historical records describing China at the time. But the journey still did not end. He returned, visited Mecca again, then moved toward the East African coast, Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania. After that, West Africa. He crossed the Sahara Desert on camelback. Days without water, facing hunger, heat, and death. But he returned in 1354. When he came back to Morocco, he was no longer young, but he was not empty. He carried a lifetime of stories. The Sultan ordered him to write everything he had seen, and thus emerged the Rihla, the Juni. Not just a travel book, a map of the 14th century world, societies, cities, religions, trade, culture, all recorded through his eyes. Marco Polo described trade, Ibn Battuta described humanity. So, what made him different? Courage, yes. Curiosity, absolutely. But above all, he walked into the unknown. Without maps, without guarantees, without certainty. And he did not stop. Distances that take hours by plane today took him months. Places we see online today were for him a struggle for survival. Yet he never gave up, because some people do not live to watch the world, they live to understand it. Ibn Battuta was not just a traveler, he was a witness, an observer, a recorder, and a bobello. A moving book of history. Looking back today, his journey tells us one thing. The world may be vast, but human will is greater. And sometimes, one step can change an entire lifetime. Ever heard of a journey that lasted nearly 30 years and spanned over 75,000 miles? Forget frequent flyer miles. This was the 14th century, and our hero was a young scholar from Morocco named Ibn Battuta. His story isn't just about distance. It's about a relentless quest for knowledge that changed our understanding of the medieval world forever. It all started in 1325. At just 21 years old, Ibn Battuta set out from his hometown of Tangier with a simple goal: to perform the Hajj, the sacred pilgrimage to Mecca. He thought he'd be gone for a couple of years, tops. Little did he know, he wouldn't see home again for almost 3 decades. His initial trek across North Africa was a brutal introduction to the life of a trader. He rode caravans to cross the vast, unforgiving Sahara Desert, a sea of sand where the sun was a relentless enemy and water was more precious than gold. He faced sandstorms, survived attacks by bandits, and battled illness. Many would have turned back, but for Ibn Battuta, this was just the beginning. After reaching Mecca and fulfilling his religious duty, a powerful new desire took hold of him, an insatiable curiosity to see the entire Muslim world, or Dar al-Islam. He wanted to meet its people, study under its greatest scholars, and experience its diverse cultures firsthand. His journey took him to Egypt, where he was awestruck by the ancient pyramids and the bustling metropolis of Cairo, a city teeming with life, trade, and learning. He traveled up the Nile, marveling at the remnants of a civilization that was ancient even in his time. From there, he ventured into the lands of Anatolia, modern-day Turkey. He was welcomed with incredible hospitality by the local rulers, and he meticulously documented their customs, their generosity, and the vibrant blend of cultures he found there. He wasn't just a tourist. He was an ethnography, a sociologist, and a historian, all rolled into one. He paid attention to everything: what people ate, how they dressed, their religious practices, and their systems of law. His travels then led him east, through Persia and Afghanistan, on his way to the legendary riches of India. The journey over the Hindu Kush Mountains was one of the most perilous parts of his entire adventure, a land of snow and ice that tested his endurance to its absolute limit. Upon arriving in Delhi, his reputation as a learned scholar preceded him. The Sultan of Delhi, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, was a powerful and eccentric ruler who was famous for both his generosity and his terrifying temper. He appointed Ibn Battuta as a Qadi, or Jaji. For several years, Ibn Battuta lived a life of luxury and influence, but it was a gilded cage. He was constantly navigating the dangerous politics of the court, living in fear of the Sultan's unpredictable wrath. Eventually, the Sultan gave him an incredible opportunity to serve as his ambassador to the Yuan dynasty in China. This new mission sent him on yet another series of incredible adventures. His sea voyage was a disaster. He was shipwrecked, attacked by pirates, and nearly lost his life multiple times. A lesser man would have given up, but Ibn Battuta's spirit was unbreakable. He eventually made it to the coastal cities of China, a land that was utterly alien to him. He was fascinated by the advanced technology, the use of paper money, the exquisite porcelain, and the sheer scale of Chinese cities. While he admired their ingenuity, he found the culture so different from the Islamic world. He knew that he often felt like a complete outsider. After years in the Far East, the call of home finally grew too strong to ignore. His long, winding journey back took him through Southeast Asia, India once more, and across the Arabian Sea. When he finally returned to Morocco in 1349, he was a completely different man. The young, eager student had become one of the most well-traveled human beings in history. But his journey wasn't over. On the command of the Sultan of Morocco, he sat down with a scribe, Ibn Jusai, to dictate his incredible story. The result was his masterpiece, a travelogue, famously known as the Rihla, or the Journey. What makes the Rihla so special? Unlike Marco Polo, who focused heavily on trade, politics, and logistics, Ibn Battuta's narrative is deeply personal and human. He tells us about the people he met, the food he shared, the friendships he forged, and the justice he administered. He gives us a vibrant, living picture of the 14th century Islamic world from the perspective of an educated insider. His work is a priceless treasure for historians, offering a unique window into the social, cultural, and religious life of the era. Ibn Battuta's legacy is not just the miles he traveled, but the understanding he pursued. He wasn't a conqueror or a merchant seeking profit. He was a scholar driven by faith and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. His life is a powerful testament to the idea that the greatest journey we can take is the one that expands our minds and opens our hearts to the vast, beautiful diversity of the human family. His story reminds us that curiosity is a powerful engine for discovery, and that stepping outside of our comfort zones is where true growth happens. Ibn Battuta didn't just see the world, he connected with it. And in doing so, he left a gift for all of us. A story that continues to inspire travelers, scholars, and dreamers to this day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories about incredible people who changed our world. See you next time.